Abdullah the Butcher. He was put in hospital about a week or so ago, dealing with quite a lot of health issues. I'm going to read to you the latest, I believe at the time of recording, post from Abby's Facebook, or maybe I think it's Abby's wife's Facebook. Here's the post. Greetings, beloved Facebook family, fans and friends. This is Queen Malika. I am sitting here with Abby and he is resting, alive and well. I am sitting here watching over him with a big smile on my face because the fighter you all know him to be, he is just that. A champ is not a champ without a good fight. He's been getting his rest in today, and when he awakens in the late morning, I will read some of the text messages and comments from you all. All I can say is, you all are the absolute best. Thank you for caring. Thanks for all you do. Team Abby, and I have no doubt Abdullah the Butcher appreciates you all. So, what do you understand is up with Abby? Because I mean, some of the posts and stuff that I was reading earlier gave me the impression he wasn't getting out.
Well, Abby's 84 years old, which is a major feat in itself, because he's always been heavy, always like. If he wasn't 400 pounds, he was right there at it. But he was actually pretty agile for 400 pounds. And I remember did I tell you about the first time I ever met Abby?
Yeah, I think you did, because you thought he was actually from, where was he billed from?
Sudan.
Sudan.
Okay. I first met him at Channel 17 in Atlanta, the old WTBS studios. And it was an older station then. I guess it was probably, I don't know if it was 20 years, it was at least 15 years old, and I'd go in there and I was thinking about this the other day. I have never formally met Abby. I never walked up to Abby and said, "Hello, I'm Dutch." And he never said, "Hey, I'm Abby." I was scared. Excuse my language. I was scared shitless of Abby because, like you, I thought he didn't speak English. I thought he was really from the Sudan. So I sat over there in my corner and I would just watch him, and he wouldn't talk to anybody. So he actually kept his gimmick alive in the dressing room, or at least with me. And I've had a few matches with him. When he drops that elbow, he doesn't drop an elbow. He drops a body. It is on you. Like, the elbow should just touch you with right here. Well, he got into this section. He dropped the whole body. And when he was dropping weight on you, you could tell. If he would have really wanted to squash you, is that a word, squash?
Mm-hmm.
If he wanted to really squash you, I mean, all he had to do is land on you. But he never hurt me. I remember I have a match still on tape with Abby, and it was from where was this from? Oh, it's from Puerto Rico. And Abby's the matches are the same. He just go in there, he just beat the crap out of you, and you beat the crap out of him. Then whatever you do a finish, and then all of a sudden it's over. Most of Abby's matches, of course, were, I mean, with notable talent. Most of it was, a double count out or count him out, and that's the way the matches would end. But I remember in this match, I'm watching it back, and all of a sudden, my big comeback is missing. I went, wait a minute. Where did my comeback go? And I found out later that Abby's people, or he had a person in Puerto Rico, got a hold of the master tape and cut out my comeback and then put it back together.
Really?
So, yeah, what you see now, I don't even get a comeback on him. So what he did, I got my whip, and I remember the people in Puerto Rico, they were going nuts. And that whip it was a new whip, so it was really cracking. You could hear it all through the stadium. And every time I'd bring it down, because I wasn't hurting Abby, and all Abby would do would just sell it, people going nuts. So when I watched it back, now I wanted to see this comeback. I'm like a mark for myself now. And all of a sudden, doop, it's gone. And I went, well, what the hell? And I wish I could find I know the guy. His name was Eddie. I'd like to find Eddie and say, hey, where'd my comeback go? But now it's lost for posterity. You'll never bring it back. But, and I have seen Abby fight those people in Puerto Rico. He was actually going toward them, and the baby face would be behind it. He's facing the people and knocking stuff down. I mean, they were they could really hurt you in Puerto Rico throwing that stuff. And there were too many of them. And the police couldn't stop it. You know, you was on your own, buddy. So, but and I'm very sorry to hear that Abby is in the hospital. Of course, he's 84 years old. And I was in Japan with him one time, and I've never seen the people run. Like when he would come out of that dressing room, he would head toward the people. They would all just scatter. You can still see it on tapes. They'd scatter out of the way. And the only ones I really saw them scatter from would be Abby, Brody, Stan Hansen, and maybe the Sheik a little bit. I don't know, but they would run, just back up. You would see whole sections that were like full 30 seconds before, and then when you get there, it's all empty as hell. And of course, they would have fights out in the crowd, and just whole sections just completely empty. And of course, if you start talking about that, and they used to, Japan is a different universe wrestling wise than the United States. So when I got over there, there's another story. I don't think I've told this one, but the people would just sit there like this and watch the match. And I asked somebody, I said, hey, what's wrong with these people? They said, no, nothing. That's the way they watch it. I said, what do you mean? He said, well, when they have a reason to get up, they'll respond. And so, but of course, all their Japanese guys, they're of course their favorites against an American. And they would just sit there. The American would just be beating the hell out of the Japanese guy. And the people would just sit there till the Japanese guy started making a comeback. But then they wouldn't scream all the way through it, always on the punches. Wow. Quiet. Wow. Quiet. And it was like up and down, up and down. And that's the way they watched it. Completely different environment, which is actually quite a contrast to the American style. We're used to them, screaming their lungs out. But the Japanese, they don't do that. So a different universe there. But anyway, that's how I first met Abby and had some matches with him.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what's wrong with Abby at the moment. I know last year he had some intestinal problems, and you said he's a big guy at 84 as well. He did lose considerable weight at some point not too long ago, I think. But I want to ask you this one thing: is someone else had a story about Abby and talked about just what a giving performer he was. Didn't realise he was going to do him all these favours, bump around for him like a pinball. I think it was Bret Hart. Said, in the early 80s, and Bret was still a skinny kid in Calgary, that kind of thing. And Abby went above and beyond to make him look good. Didn't discuss it beforehand, he just did it. Is that sort of your experience with Abby as well, or did you kind of have to fight for everything with Abby?
No, that wasn't my experience with Abby. If you wanted something, you had to take it. Oh, he'd give it to you, but you would have to make the move for it. He wouldn't. And now, when Bret Hart knew Abby, he was much younger. See, he went through. He's Canadian anyway. See, that's when I finally found out about Abby. Somebody says, and I said, "What part of the Sudan? What part of the Sudan is he from?"
Windsor, Sudan.
And somebody said, "What?" I said, he's he's Africa, right? It's Sudan. They said, "No, you idiot. He's from Toronto or somewhere in Canada." I went, "What?" Said, "Yeah." I said, "Does he speak English?" They said, "Well, yeah, he speaks English. He grew up in Canada." And sometimes thinking back when I first started, I was the biggest mark. I should have been buying a ticket myself. But finding out some of these things, yeah, but hearing about Brett, and I can tell you why, because Brett is a Canadian. He's a Canadian too, and I think he was in Calgary. He was in that territory. I don't know if he worked the territory or just came in. He didn't work a lot of territories. I think he just would be in and out. Mm. And but I think he did that to impress the Hart family, and they could do business with him.